SpongeBob's house is full of rooms, with some of them being obscure and very inconsistent, but I think nothing beats SpongeBob's walls, where on the inside there is a crazy man who's living there. Hey! So for much of the show we didn't know anything about the inside of SpongeBob's walls, but there's this season 13 episode called Wall-Halla, and it's kinda crazy with how much lore it delivers.
Gary?
So after SpongeBob has home invaded Squidward, business as usual, and watched him shower, also business as usual, he goes inside this portrait of his family house to look for Gary. This makes SpongeBob end up inside his own walls, with pink walls and a lot of space to walk around in.
Oh no! I locked myself in!
And SpongeBob is not alone in his walls right now. He thinks he sees Gary, but it's not Gary.
Thank you, kind stranger!
I gotta add that this is not a very good episode. Matter of fact, the only good thing about it is how much lore it brings.
My name be SpongeBob SquarePants, for I'm a sponge who wears square pants.
This is Wally, and he has a pretty interesting backstory about how he got stuck in here, and he tells that to SpongeBob.
Kill!
So basically, Wally was a construction worker who was working in SpongeBob's house right before SpongeBob moved in, and Wally got wallpapered into the wall.
What? I can't believe you've been living in the walls all this time!
SpongeBob eats snail food cause, I don't know, it's not important. The important thing is this place.
Whoa!
So this place is called Wall-Halla, and it is actually huge, following the rule of everything in SpongeBob's house being bigger on the inside.
Welcome to me mold garden!
He gives SpongeBob a tour of the place, and we see in here that he got a mold garden with asparagus, and sea urchins.
You're also growing raisins in your garden! No, those are urchin droppings!
Yeah. They keep going around the place until they find the backside of the fridge, which Wally calls his magic fridge. Wait, if this is Wally's fridge, and SpongeBob gets the same stuff that Wally has in his fridge, doesn't that mean that this fridge is also... No, it can't be. Of course, Wally uses SpongeBob's toothbrush as a nose brush, cause, I don't know, lore reasons. I promise this is all very important.
Wall-Halla does have one problem. A noisy neighbor.
Wally starts roasting his neighbor, saying he has an ear piercing? He has an ear piercing? No, he has an ear piercing laugh. That's so annoying that it made Wally go crazy.
That's the most horrible.
I gotta remember that I'm not critiquing the episode and that this is in fact a lore video. We usually don't start this far into the show, like usually it's a room that appeared in like Help Wanted or something, and then we move forward until a random, like season 15 episode brings it back, but now we're starting in season 13, so I gotta get used to it.
But I'm sure glad to be safe in here with you, Wally.
They have a friendship feast, which is going very well, and they're feeding each other and stuff, and they're all cocked up.
Wally, that was the friendliest feast.
Things start going west when SpongeBob mentions Gary, and Wally says that Gary is actually his pet snail, and he's named Gary.
That hot Take a laugh!
Wally starts freaking out after figuring out that the person he's having a feast with is actually his horrible neighbor.
Move me, man!
He chases them through Wall-Halla, and we see more of the same stuff until Patrick walks in and we see more of how the wall stuff looks from the outside. That's about it. They jump out and then Wally starts living in the walls, so they cross the crab instead of a compromise or something.
Got any mustard?
However, this is not the last time we see Wally or Wall-Halla. Jumping forward to Stuck in an Elevator, 2 seasons later, we see this.
Hello, oh thank Neptune.
Oh, thank Neptune.
Wally is now inside an elevator and really annoying, repeating everything that Squidward says.
Oh, you're no help at all. You're no help at all.
Jumping forward a bit in the episode, we see Wally digging himself out and saying he's been trapped. After being trapped in here for 22 years, he's finally gotten out of the elevator.
What? Another elevator?
I mean, that don't make much sense, but he's crazy, so I guess it makes sense. Speaking of crazy, don't he look very much like Sandy's disguise from To Save a Squirrel back in season 5? Matter of fact, this whole scene looks like that episode with Spongebob and Patrick.
Oh, wise King Squidward, this weary traveler wishes to stay with us.
Anyway, whatever. We are more interested in Wall-Halla than just this weirdo. And Wall-Halla actually makes another very quick appearance in this season, just a couple episodes later in Pinned. Yeah, it's really quick, but that means that Wally is still living in SpongeBob's walls. It would be really creepy if it wasn't like modern SpongeBob and played like it is, but it's an interesting lore development for his house though, I guess.